Okay, today is on the 1st or 31st? 30 or 30 of May 2019. So we're reading a common Buddhist text. Now we come to this L.42. We come to the L.42, 30th of May. Okay, could you just start to read? Yeah.
Now, on that occasion, the Brahmin named Manathata was residing in Savatthi. He did not pay respect to his mother or father, nor to his teacher or eldest brother. Now, on that occasion, the Blessed One was teaching Dhamma surrounded by a large assembly. Then the Brahmin Manatata considered the renunciant Gautama is teaching Dhamma surrounded by a large assembly. Let me approach him. If the renunciant Gautama addresses me, then I will address him in turn. But if he does not address me, neither would I address him. Then the Brahman Manathata approached the Blessed One and stood silently to one side. But the Blessed One did not address him. Then the Brahman Manathata, thinking this renunciant Gautama does not know anything, wanted to turn back. But the Blessed One, having known with his own mind reflection in the Brahman's mind, addressed the Brahman Manathata in verse. Brahman, the fostering of conceit is never good for one keen on his own welfare. You should instead foster that purpose for which you have come here.
Welcome you. Next one. Yeah.
Then the Brahmin Manathata, thinking, the renunciant Gautama knows my mind, prostrated himself right there with his head at the Blessed One's feet. He kissed the Blessed One's feet, stroked them with his hands, and announced his name thus: Venerable Gautama, I'm Manathata. Venerable Gautama, I'm Manathata. Then
maybe best to read it Manathata.
Then that assembly was struck with amazement, and the people said, Sir, it is wonderful indeed. Sir, it is amazing indeed. This Brahmin Manathata does not pay respect to his mother and father, nor to his teacher or eldest brother. Yet he shows such supreme honor towards the renunciant Gautama. Then the Blessed One said to the Brahmin Manathata, Brahmin, enough. Get up and sit in your own seat, as your mind has confidence in me.
Okay. All right. I mean, this sutta is pretty issue. It's pretty easy, but still, I think it's worth to discuss. I mean, especially if you read this as more like when you're reading this, it's more like, I think it's when you study theology, like you read the Bible. I mean, you don't have much of story, you have much more rich story like in Buddhism actually in a way. But because in the past, I want to say this is about the way our reading. Because in the past, usually I am not really fan of this kind of story. When I read it, I just skip it because it looks like nothing deep in the Dharma and teachings, what I thought. But then now, the more when you grow up now, actually you find this kind of story, why sometimes included, even though it's included in the Samyutta Nikaya, in the Brahmani Samyutta, the Brahmani Samyutta means the collection that they have several texts, usually 10 texts, 10 Buddhist texts that have been collected into a group of the Brahmin, Samyutta. Actually, in Brahmin Samyutta, you also have 10 kind of Vakka. Vakka means like a chapter. And each chapter includes 10 texts. So, and this belongs to, not just because he's a Brahmin, but he's not a priest, but he's a Gahapati, he's the householder. And so that's why it's included 10 texts about kind of lay people, but they're Brahmin caste, but they're lay, not really working as a priest, like that, even though they belong to the Brahmin caste. And I think, those sutta is sometimes been collected in those days, even though transmitted by orally, but they must have the reasons, Mana, the word actually, like last time we have a good discussion about the mana tata, about the name. It's, to be exact, this is not the name, because the word mana and tata sometimes you could easily understand means like stubbornly, right? Mana mean the proud, the pride, the conceit. So kind of like it refers to someone not only just having a conceit, but really stubbornly having a conceit. Very strong-headed, very strong-headed like that. So, I mean, as I remember Alan was suggesting, saying that is a good point to say that, and I think maybe out of cultural reason, also out of respect reason, you don't want to name the person, even though they maybe really know the name, unless the person really is transformed after he might have a bad habit, then he really like changed hugely or whatever reason. Otherwise, just using this kind of character to show a person's name. Okay. Now we know that at that occasion, the Brahmin called Mana, Tattha, okay, living in Savatthi. So the reason is, I guess, is one of the reasons is that his proudness is so high that he doesn't even respect his, traditionally his mother and his father, not even the acharya, the teacher. You have to understand in the Indian culture, even the Chinese would be the same in the past. We are talking about this is something about 2,600 years, at least 2,500 years ago. So that, kind of like, even if you want to study something under the teacher, you definitely need to be really kneel down and pay respect. And a lot of the serving work, you cannot just say, I pay the fee and then come to study, And like in old days, even in the Buddhist thought, it's the same thing. If you want to study Dhamma, it's not like, oh, I just like it online now. Maybe you're online, you're having your feet, pointing to me. Not that I care about it now, but, right? You have all this etiquette properly. Otherwise, you would never learn anything if you don't even know how to serve the teachers. But it's the same in Indian culture in the old days, even though now changed. The same thing still, at least luckily, still retained in Sri Lanka. Like, but why I want to say this, because later they did mention that he worshipped the Buddha, even in a much more extreme way. So in culturally, when they at least every day, or not every day, when they grow up, but they definitely in some occasion, they have to really respect the teacher or respect the what I call the parents by worshipping their feet. Okay, even the same as I say in Sri Lankan culture as a kid, when you wake up after going to school, you usually get a blessing from your parents. So you worship the parents, like you worship the monk same way, and then you worship the parents, and then usually the mother, father usually are quiet in old culture. Maybe now change now. The mother usually say, okay, just study well or behave well, and just by that give them some good dharma, like that, I think this is really good, but I think this is how it's one way that we should really, suggest or encourage the Buddhist parents should do that, and the Buddhist kids should do that. It's, when they wake up before they leave, they should worship. If they don't want to worship, at least there's a kind of a gesture to show, that's a good way to have a communication too, Otherwise, sometimes, in a family, you might have something else, Cold War going on, but then you need a platform and a venue, to make the Cold War subside. Anyway, so here refer to three things, but I don't know why they understand it as a tree, because but here they say the elder's brother. My understanding actually the Pali, this is based on how you read the Pali, because the word, let me see. No, actually I was reading the Pali, I didn't read, now I only realize now you use the elder's brother. Okay, Jeta Padarang. I read that not as an adjective mean the elders, brothers. Padara mean the brothers. But the Jetan, I read it as a compound as mean the elders and the brothers. Okay? So, elders refer to any elders in the culture. Yeah, but I mean, this is all how you read the Pali sometimes. Some people here, luckily the monk here, at least they learn some Sanskrit. You know that depends how you read the compound. So anyway, okay, that's fine. It's just a minor. But I read that actually mean that he doesn't respect his mother, father, nor his teacher, or nor his teachers, elders, and brothers. Okay. Now, and then anyway, at the time he wanted people to recognize him in a way also. He must have heard that the Buddha is very famous and for some reason. But you know that in the story saying that he went over there and he was just thinking that if the Buddha didn't first show his kindness to that, then he would just go away, But unfortunately, that's what happened also when he go. For some reason, the Buddha didn't address him. But this is not saying that the Buddha, here for sure this sutta very clearly that it didn't say that the Buddha deliberately didn't address him. It could be he was engaged, the Buddha, whatever reason. So then he thought he wanted to, quit from that assembly. He would just left. And it's also clear, it looks like the text implied that he didn't even have friends as well. Imagine this kind of person who wanted to be with him, with the person. So, and he was just thinking, I kind of imagine that he might be that time going there just wanted to have some friend. He might be come to a certain age already. He think, and he couldn't have any chance. The only chance is when there was a famous person like a Buddha came to give a Dhamma talk, right? And then you just wanted to show up, And this is also one reason why I ask people always go to a big assembly in a certain way. You may don't be surprised. I met these kind of people too, similar kind of people that you could see their face. They feel very unnatural in that kind of situation. But when you can show the kindness to them, it's actually they help them hugely. If they appear there, they will somehow they want to change. I want to say that even like in our meditation time. I'm not saying that in the retreat, but like when we have a meditation while I was in New York at that time, I still know that there were few of the men. They would not even come in to do meditation if they only see just few people outside. I noticed that because I always sit right in front of the door. And then when they saw there's a big amount of people, they feel at ease because they could be easy to stay with oblivion, okay? Almost like stay with oblivion, but they like to be existent. But then at the same time, they don't want everybody like knows them or say, because when there are a lot of people, especially like the monks there, and then we're going to address them and ask them and talk to them. But at the same time, of course, if they come to join in, they want to be recognized in a certain sense. So and then usually the first time when they come in, I don't talk to them also. I would just pretend like he's not there, but I don't even say, hey, there's a place, there's a tea, there's what you like. I don't. Almost like you don't, but you don't show you don't care, but you just smile and then you don't need to talk to them like that. Because if you read this story, you kind of know, you have these kind of certain kind of people. But then they slowly they recognize actually you accept them to be there because you have just a friendly smile, that's all. But later they will feel more comfortable in that kind of situation. You know that sometimes some people come to do meditation, they have some mental are not very stable already in some way. There's a good part of it, okay? Don't always look in the bad part. Anyway, what else to talk about this story? Let me see. All right. And of course, here also, this is actually recorded in the Majjhima Nikaya, in the Samyutta Nikaya, right? In the Samyutta Nikaya. But usually Samyutta Nikaya believed to be, especially Taiwan, they somehow love this kind of idea, thinking, oh, this is an earlier text, so only study that, the other is not, but this is included there, okay? And maybe when you look at it, so what do we mean by that? It's only there about the Dharma. Of course, this is about Dharma. Everything is about Dharma here. That time he lived there, then the Buddha later on, of course, when I think some of the verses are very important here. Once the Buddha said to him, so you come here with a purpose, So if you leave because of your proud, because of your pride, then you leave, then you lost your purpose. I guess this is a really good remark, you know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this could happen to ourselves a lot of times. Sometimes when I go to some places, I feel that places doesn't fit me in. It doesn't, fit myself in that kind of situation. For example, I remember once I went, actually with our monastic members also, we went to the HIV, right? They have the progression, what do you call that?
Rally or something?
No rally, actually. Yeah, kind of more or less like that, but they were organized by the religious. Yeah, HIV. We gathered right in front of the White House there, and we walked quite a long.
Oh yes, I remember.
Yeah, that we were there. We were invited. I walked in there. I had nothing to do with about the problem with those things, and the people were very lovely. They say thank you for your support. But like that, and somehow, because this is not the situation I'm always in, and then it also to do with my manas, my pride, because I thought, I'm a monk, and then now the people talking about we need to still kind of care about HIV. They have kind of few time of flash in my mind, thinking, what I'm here, right? And I thought I'm, not that I against this, I'm saying you feel a little awkward because, but then, this is why I say a server, because that time I thought to go there, I remember I thought I agreed to go there because for me, the reason is I thought these people need us there, so we just went to support. And then our pride, sometimes we carry on, you carry us away by forget our all intentional. Our intention is just to support them. It's not to do, kind of like, somehow when you think about the self, my status, is that correct to be there, but it's not that purpose now, like that. So this is how you subside the manas, the pride. And when you're really aware that happened to you, and then you really can put that away. Are you okay, David? When you can put that pride away, so then you can enjoy the moment you are saying there, because your purpose going is just to support them, Even though actually I remember there was a little over when on the way you walk, you need to have a slogan, is keep on saying, I forgot what are they already. And like that, the slogan, if your pride is there, you don't want to say it because you thought, I'm not here to chant Namo Amitabha, but why don't I just chant all these like the Buddha name, but why I just have the slogan? Save what I forgot what are they, and just save something about the program for the HIV. But then anyway, at the end, people were very happy because we were there to support them. Anyway, that's what I want to say is that we have almost like a similar situation. And this is even though it looks at the story just like some person are really, really strong in the proud, in conceit. But I mean that we also happen there. So that's why I like there's one way to say, they say that, did he put it here? About the Buddha say, if you don't live because...
You should instead foster that purpose.
Yeah, you should instead foster the purpose, yeah. Okay, all right. What else? Any other comment? Why a question again?
Why does the Buddha call it conceit instead of pride?
Conceit and pride is the same meaning.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In English.
In Pali, is it mana?
Mana. But if you learn, normally when you say the word mana, I mean, normally we understand there are three kinds of mana, right? But sometimes you can also divide 9 kind of mana as well. But generally, in Abhidhamma, usually, I won't say Abhidhamma, in Sutta also generally understand there's a 3 kind of mana. But then you also can divide the 9 kind of mana as well. But the 3 kind of mana refer to, I'm sure you know, one is mean the. It's generally believed that you have a mana because at first you have an inferiority complex, okay? That I forgot the term. But anyway, you have inferiority. But generally, that's called mana. But if you want to say people have they have talent, that they really are very, very, like let's say they are very smart, or like nowadays so-called like people are very successful. But they have a different kind of mana. They are not inferiority trigger them, but mostly the atimana, mean the superiority, you know. Otherwise, usually people have the conceit, just a manxin. You have conceit mostly due to the inferiority, yeah. And another kind of mana is only Arahant could put it off. And not only Arahant, the third fruit also. The third fruit also put it off. So then the mana that conceit, but usually we use a term. It still happens, but you have to read on the context. Usually refer to, you have the conceit to that you think the I and the other are the equal. Because yourself, the notion of self is not 100% able to decompose the understanding of the self. So that's why you still think I and you are equal. You know, even though you don't think that you're lower than them or higher than them, but you still have the idea. Yes.
请问师父，在贪嗔痴的 mana 是属于贪嗔痴里面的哪一种？
没有，贪嗔痴慢疑慢。Usually we talk about 5. Oh, you mean that they are normally the mana is more associated. Of course, everything is to do with the craving, but the more usually is more associated with the anger. Yeah, so that's the reason why when someone anger succeeds, then the mana will goes away. Yeah, you see that when someone have the proud, it's always hold them is they feel very happy. They feel unpleasure, you know. Yeah. Especially when the first type of mana, as I say, the inferiority, yeah, complex, inferiority complex. And it's interesting in this text also, where I want to mention about an earlier time that in Indian culture they had to worship the teacher and so forth. After when he was really thought the teacher understand him, and he will worship the Buddha, but here according to the Pali or even in here maybe, so when he worshiped the Buddha, he had kind of like he stayed there for a long time. He was touching the Buddha's feet as a tradition, and then he put his forehead on top of the Buddha's feet, and he was like, how to say, the Pali is kind of like touching a long time with the Buddha feet, like caressing, caressing. I mean, in old culture, those days, of course, there were no problem. I think this is Western culture. This is certainly a big problem. Okay, it's a culture thing, huh? Huh? Yeah, I mean this is a culture different, and also the time different as well. So it really took the line, and then until the Buddha say that's enough. I think it's not in the text. In continue that, I don't know whether it's still in the text, but because and let me see.
I think
Yeah, the last
rather enough. Maybe
Yeah, Alam Brahma Udehi. Then just I say, stand up. Just enough, Alam. Please stand up. Yeah. Find a seat, suited for you, and just to take a seat suited for you. Yeah.
That's why the assembly was.
Sakya asana nisit. So, and this is actually is a kind of humorous there, because he was. Let me see. If you can read, I mean, if you can really appreciate the humor they put it there. Okay. Oh, and by the way, when he was like really prostrate, that on the feet of the Buddha, he would say, "Oh, it's wonderful, it's wonderful." He first say, "My name is like Manatata Po Gotama. That's me. I'm Manatata." He was kind of like nobody know him. He would say, "Gotama, I'm Dhammadipa. Gotama, I'm Dhammadipa." I mean, I guess.
Like, were women allowed to worship the Buddha or teachers by touching their feet that way?
I think yes. Yeah. Only that part, okay. All right, any other comment? Of course, I mean, according to the sutta at the end, he definitely, the Buddha advised him, somehow like, if you don't learn how to respect the other, kind of imply that then you will not get respect by the other to you also. Then he also added, then you also need to definitely, then, like suggest him to respect the parents and then the elders, brothers, as well as teachers, and even the monks, the samana, so also. Yeah. And then there's certain quality said that because kind of imply that because the samana, it can be the arahant, and then they are existent. The existence of the arahant is kind of like giving you a cool down, feature like this, And he said that you need to be kind of like kill. He used the word really strong actually at that time, as that you need to kill that your conceit. So, so, and he said that then he certainly later he would say, Ajudake panubedang saranang katang. Then he say, then I will, with my whole life, I'm going to take the refuge. So in Chinese, the word is always translated 进行受. The word mean I take. But this word is not always happen, okay? You need to, I mean, sometimes when you read this, especially we've been influenced by a lot of Chinese word. Not that necessarily, but we don't really read the text very carefully. We thought everybody when they take the refuge say so. No, not everybody say that. Okay, so if you read carefully, so sometimes they very careful to put some word in. Some are just only say I take the refuge, but he was really become really strong in faith, saying that I will my whole life will be taking this refuge. The same thing like we met people so. That after they hearing the teaching or learning the meditation, they were really grew up the faith. They would say, oh, can I take the refuge? It's different from they say, no, my whole life will be on taking the refuge like that. So you could see that actually he later really had a very strong determination to be good, and he knew that maybe the first thing he need to really overcome is his conceit. Yeah. Yes. Well, somebody was about to say something. Sorry,
Yeah, I'm just wondering, for people with pride, it's hard to tempt. And, but from the story, kind of so simple, and Buddha just read his mind and say one sentence, and then such people could just turn around like, kind of totally change their personality.
Yeah,
Kind of.
I also try to, that's why I printed some, I also try to read the commentary. I want to find whether there are any other saying in the commentary. It didn't. I mean, it did have say something else, but nothing relate to that. But this is why I interpret it like this householder. He also being a Brahmin. Of course, he did mention, implied that he's a Brahmin, mean he think he's quite high also. He's not like nothing. He at least he's someone. And I want to say, I think it's I put it more like a humanity kind of understanding. He might be why he joined the assembly. Of course, maybe people can read different thinking because he just want to see the Buddha. I guess it's also he at the same time is because in a big gathering. That's what I mean. Mm-hmm. He somehow knew some problem there already, but then there's nobody actually giving him. I mean, I wouldn't say nobody give it. It's like it's actually is a time. You know, for him, he started to. He must have recognized something. Otherwise, he would not. You know, going to change. You know.
For those type of people, usually they have, especially those people who see themselves highly.
Yeah.
And it really needs to. They know there's something wrong with themselves, but they don't know how to deal with this.
Yeah, I mean.
And because with their pride, they think they can handle it. So they really need to find someone who is able to crack that. And once someone can do that, they will just see the way forward.
So one of the recent cases I remember, right now in my mind is when we went for a pilgrimage also, and then one of the guys actually he used to teach in one of the very prestigious university in America as an Asian, and then very very prestigious as a professor. But he also told me that we just happened for a pilgrimage when we were returning. Accidentally, we sit next to each other. That's all kind of like that. And he said he joined the pilgrimage not because he really loved it. He never really interested in religion, especially Buddhism. At least it's because fundraising he had to go for that. But he also told me that until something happened in his life, so and then he had a friend who actually, as a professor, also studied in psychology or something like that to do with that kind. He always thought. He is a Greek scientist. What are these hippie people? Learning this kind of thing is kind of like nothing. So, and then he also had some crisis in his mind. That's the reason why, even though he said in his past, he would never thought that he would associate with this kind of friend, that who are just psychology, even professor, so what? You know, kind of like that. He said me very clearly, very, very, because we were on the plane. It's a long flight. We at least talked more than 5 hours anyway. So, and as he was like very, very bad in the math and so forth, I think that was really challenging subject in the past and so. But then because of life crisis and he started recognizing actually then when he told me once he have lunch or something, some meal with that the professor in psychology or something. I remember psychiatry, I cannot remember which part, but it's to do with the mind, I know. And then he was kind of like, he said something to him, he struck his mind as well. So, and that's why he confessed to me saying that, you know, even though this pilgrimage I'm not interested, but I really enjoyed the time with you, he was saying, because he said, he can easily read other people's pride or power easily. That's how he was. He was saying that because if he go the pilgrimage with other monks, he might not feel very comfortable because I didn't have any ritual. And for that kind of person, if I go, everybody bow down to the Buddha, everybody do this, everybody bow to the monk, you know. I don't. I just say, you know, you as far as you go to temple, don't offend the place, you know, just do it. I don't ask the people you need to do this. You know that the certain Asian culture, they love that. Everybody bow now, everybody this, you know. He went there just because, anyway, for some reason he went there. I don't want to say too much, otherwise he will hear this, he knew that I was talking about him. That so clearly, you know, at least. So I don't want to say much. So it's, it is like that, but he changes it. I'm not saying about myself. He liked me, he said, because you don't do this. And you show like a human. You know, he said at least the place he met, or whatever tradition he went, because his wife was so devoted in all. And he said, whatever tradition he went, they always like this, they bow down and all this. He finds this is very unacceptable and very difficult. He said he's not against that, but he like, not everybody will do that, you know. Why you have to force everybody to do that and so forth. Right? Okay, I guess this is it's like this. I recognize that case. To him, it's also first he was able, first he something in his life already happened, something in his life, he need to think about it, and at the same time he met the right person to talk about, and he started to recognize actually other people study some subject are not necessarily as he thought as the, he was using a very strong word, kind of like the other people why did something that's other subject, even they are a professor, because kind of like, because they are not very good. And then those kind of subjects is available for them. They are kind of living in that kind of, how to say, because they have no choice and they're not good and then they just go that way. Not because that is really useful subject, like that. Really, I was kind of like shocked, to be honest, when I hear that. I was kind of like, wow, people can have a so strong opinion. So strong. I can understand somehow they look down at her, but so strong.
You mean he's very insecure?
Huh?
Usually mean that he's not very secure in his mind.
Might be the psychologist say that way also. Okay. So I guess these people, because they can confront, like here they say that too. Not here, the next one. So, because he could confront his problem. He could really confront his problem. He would always keep his awareness on his problem. That would be helpful, right? Mm. All right, now why don't we read the next one? Teaching those sent to kill him. This is a funny story, actually.
The Buddha's cousin Devadatta was an evil monk who was jealous of the Buddha's influence. He thus asked his friend Prince Ajatasattu to have the Buddha assassinated so that he could become a leader of the Sangha. A man was sent to kill the Buddha. A man sent to kill the returning assassin, and others to kill them to ensure secrecy. Then that man who was alone, having grasped a sword and shield, having bound on a bow and quiver, approached the Blessed One. Having approached, when he was quite near the Blessed One, he stood still, his body quite rigid, afraid, anxious, fearful, alarmed. The Blessed One saw that man standing still, his body quite rigid, afraid, anxious, fearful, alarmed, and seeing him spoke thus to him, "Come, friend, do not be afraid." Then the man, having put his sword and shield and bow and quiver to one side, approached the Blessed One, and having approached, inclined his head to the Blessed One's feet, and said to him, "Venerable Sir, a transgression has overcome me. Foolish, misguided, unskillful that I was. In that I was coming here with a malignant mind. My mind set on murder. Venerable One, may the Blessed One acknowledge for me the transgression as a transgression for the sake of restraint in the future."
All right, someone.
Truly, friend, a transgression overcame you. But if you, friend, having seen a transgression as a transgression and confess it according to what is right, we acknowledge it for you. For you, friend, in the discipline of the Noble One, this is growth. Whoever, having seen a transgression as a transgression, acknowledges it according to what is right, he attains restraint in the future. The Buddha then taught him, and he attained stream entry and became a lay disciple. The Buddha then warned him to avoid the other assassins, though when they arrived, each was taught by the Buddha and also attained stream entry.
All right. When you read this story, it's kind of like more like reading a Bible. Anyway. First, I think this is about teaching those sent to him. Actually, this is from the Vinaya. Okay. In the Vinaya, usually Vinaya in Pali system, not the Chinese, but the Pali system is divided into five, kind of like five sections. And one section called the Julavaka. Usually Julavaka is less about the monk's rule, but more about the social norms about the rule, more like that, Actually, this is included in the Julavaka. One reason is because Not only because of Devadatta, it's about when this Sangha Veda, mean what do you call it? In the English translation, Sangha Veda, the split of Sangha, the schism happened. And then now, there are a few messages very one word is called a Sangha Veda, one is called a Sangha Jari. In other words, one is about the schism, one is about the, you might have a different opinion in terms of teachings or rule. So, but that is not included as a schism. So how you differentiate the two, they call it this descendant, the what then? I forgot the what then. It means people have different opinions. Disagree, yeah, dissident, yeah, they can call dissident. Yeah. It's about how you differentiate what is meant by schism and the dissident. So, but this is including that chapter. So this person, the Devadatta, I'm sure we will say the story a little later. But here, these parties. Later on, Devadatta actually agreed by the Ajatasattu. Before he became a king, he still was a prince, and he sent some people to kill the Buddha. Okay. So, like here to say, in order to avoid that let's say they would really succeed in killing the Buddha. So, and in order to avoid that, so they send one person to kill the Buddha first. And if the person really killed the Buddha, that the first one he met, when he returned, there were two persons waiting for the one person. So then these two persons will kill this man. Okay. Or if this man didn't return, then these two persons, that means maybe the Buddha killed that man. Okay, of course the Buddha would not kill the man, but that is one of the interesting plot. And they were waiting the next two persons going to kill the Buddha. But the next one is that the four person waiting for these two persons. Okay. And this is why the story said after whatever, presumably they did kill the Buddha, they will go back to the road, right? That's why the Buddha knew that. In other words, to show the Buddha have a power, he knew that. Ask him, don't go that way, go other way. So that's why when this person was saying that want to have this transgression, and then wanted to be confessed with the transgression, so the Buddha asked him after he said that you're really good, that because you can confess your transgression, so go other way. So the other two guys was waiting and say, how long? Why the guy took so long? And they thought, of course, either they were killed by the Buddha or what, so they went to see the Buddha, and they later also become stream enter. And the same way the Buddha asked them to go the other direction, so the other four guys was waiting, and the other four guys were waiting, and then until they didn't see them returning, and they thought maybe, could be other possibility, and they went there and saw the Buddha along, and also become a stream enter after the advice by the Buddha, admonished by Buddha. And then the Buddha also say, don't go that direction and go out. So the other 8 guys also was waiting. So altogether, how many people? 8, 4, 2, 1, 15 persons. Yeah. So at that time, actually, 15 persons become the Sotapanna. Okay.
So it could be
Endless.
Huh?
It could be endless.
No, I didn't say endless. That one, no.
8 and then 16.
No. That's enough. Come on, they want to kill the Buddha.
So Buddha covers 15.
Yeah, if I was not wrong, I remember the last is 8. Yeah, it's 1, 2, 4, 8. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's sort of silly because
Silly?
it seems like the later waves of men also knew about the assassination of the Buddha. Like the assassinating the previous people who were sent to assassinate the Buddha only works if you only know you're sent to assassinate those people that were sent.
I think they didn't expect they could kill it.
I think if I were the king and I want to murder someone, I first you do not tell the assassin anything until the last
Yeah,
moment.
Exactly.
And also for the second group, I think they were expected to kill the first assassin.
Exactly. Without knowing who the first assassins were supposed to kill.
And then
So
at the
it's
last moment,
sort
it's
of-
like, what happened?
Yeah.
Kill the Buddha.
No. Maybe you're right. Actually, maybe they didn't even know you never know. Maybe the eight maybe they didn't know. That didn't mention clearly. Maybe the eighth person was waiting. Maybe they didn't know what they were doing. Their job is just only to wait for this four person returning. But then they met the Buddha, you know, but they were maybe doing a transgression, not necessarily because the transgression over killing Buddha said he wanted to kill someone, you know. So
Maybe they went to Buddha's place to investigate what happened to that first guy.
yeah, that was a reason. Actually, the two guys that was a reason they were
And the
one.
four guy went to Buddha
Yeah.
and said, what happened to that two guys?
Yeah.
But then how is this story passed down? See,
How the story been passed down?
right, because the Buddha met those 50
Let me see. I remember in the Vinaya they mentioned how that passed down. Actually, must be the Buddha somehow mentioned about this.
someone knew about it.
I
Those assassins told us.
yeah, because they become a strong mentor, so
Yeah, they could tell.
15 of them, at least one will tell, right?
I mean, that those people told
Yeah,
the
those
story.
Yeah.
assassins.
Maybe they become a stream mentor. That's important. They will never kill again, and that's why they met each other. They say, "I was supposed to kill you," right? And don't forget also the whole thing is about the prince later become a king, and he was succeeded to kill his father Ajatasattu, the Bimbisara. According to Vinaya, at first he wanted to kill it. He had a sword. He was kind of coaxed by the Ajatasattu, the Devadatta, the monk Devadatta, to kill the king. And then, but however, a lot of ministers saw him, so like kind of sneaking, in the palace where the king, the room is about, asking what he was doing. I mean, of course, according to Vina's story, to me, it's a little silly, but maybe it's not a big topic they would like to say. Just want to show he did want to kill. He just say, I want to kill the king. Why he wouldn't say that? But I mean, it might be not necessarily. It's just for the record. It's not necessarily. Somehow they knew already. So then, and he told them even then the report they have to think about. Even they have a really big. That means they have a big meeting for that. They said, they knew that why Ajatasattu changed. They thought it's because of Devadatta. Yeah.
Eventually, wasn't the king didn't he starve to death instead? He was never assassinated. He was just imprisoned and
Yeah.
starved.
So that I want to say is he at first there was his attempt the first attempt. Yeah. So, but we all know that Ajatasattu later on definitely become a Buddhist also. And you could even conjecture that or imagine that. And then this assassin,
The one who sent me.
they could talk to each other, maybe somehow anyway. Yeah. Yes.
Is Devadatta is not the same cousin that.
He is. Well, Devadatta, the thing it is that once the Buddha lived in a place not far from his hometown, it's a very small village. And then a lot of Sakyan family really become a monk and go for renunciation under the Buddha. At that time, what is his name? Oh, Mahanama. Mahanama also his cousin, the Buddha's cousin, and thought that, as a family, the cousin family, none of them might become a monk under the Buddha. They think it's a little disgraceful. That's why he pursued first Anuruddha. All these become Arahant already, except Devadatta. And then pursued Anuruddha, he pursued Anuruddha. But Anuruddha said, I'm a person have a tree palace also. I always live with a beautiful woman. You get a lot of entertainment, music for me, musician and all this for me. And also he compared the other, he's more like love everything very refined. And how could I live the life like the monk? He said it's impossible for him. Not that he disliked it, he just said his condition is not given that. He is really a person, have a very fine taste. That's what he was replying. You know how Mahanama was so clever? He didn't become a monk yet. He said, fine, why don't to train you to become a monk one day? Because he think that we should become a monk. As in the family, none of the family member become a monk. Maybe there was a part with the culture too. So, and since the Buddha was so powerful and then he's our family person, we must at least has to be there. And then that's why the Mahanama said, let me train you. So how did he train him? He said, let me tell you how to plant a seed, how to grow a tree. And like first dig the soil, put out the weed and all this kind of process, right? Put the seed, and when it grows, you need to make the soil and this and that, still take the weed and all this work. So maybe he never really worked on that at all. Even though some prince maybe love to have planting, he never done that. He will only just enjoy something else. So he did that. And then the next question he was asking the Mahanama, he said, how long we are going to do that? He said, this is a long culture, remember. You plant the seed, you do the growth, and then later, when harvest, you need to plant it again and do the endless job. He said, this is how it is a long time, endless job. This is how even your ancestor, your father, all do the same thing. Then he said, oh, so then I must be a monk then. In other words, this is never-ending story. He was just doing and doing and doing and doing. Of course, he kind of heard something about the Buddha teaching already, that there's a way that you can stop doing that anymore. So he said, okay, I decided I become a monk. That's why the Anuruddha, he must be one of the powerful, kind of like difficult to pursue maybe. And the other monk, I forgot his name, Dhammadipa maybe. He actually among the cousin or prince, right? Among them, he kind of the most powerful also. But then, so Anuruddha was the one that later on he pursued the mother and said, I want to be a monk. Of course, the mother would disagree. Mother say, even you die, I was so crying, I will be crying like a dad. So how could I allow you to be a monk? Something like this, a story. But anyway, and then the mother knew that, there's one person who would not become a monk. That I think it's Dhammadipa, I think, if I was not wrong. So he was asking the Dhammadipa, saying, if the Dhammadipa is going to be a monk, fine, I will agree with you. So of course then Anuruddha had to pursue the Dhammadipa, right? And the Dhammadipa say, I'm the chief, I'm the chieftain here. How can I just not to do this? So he would not agree. But then, but he say, but my mom say that if you don't be a monk, you cannot be a monk, then I cannot be a monk, And of course, there's to say the one who first pursued is a Mahanama. The Mahanama would not be able to be a monk. So he say, okay, like a buddy, the buddy, and if you ask me to help you, so, okay, wait 7 years, give me 7 years. He said, that's too long. All right, 6 years, too long. They bargain and bargain and bargain and bargain. Until he say, because he say, I have many things to settle down. He say, all right, about 1 week. 1 week is fine, it's not too long. So, now at the time, all together, I would say the story will take a break now, but all together, including Devadatta, they go to, he is also one of their Tanshongdima, kind of like cousin. So he's one of the what do you call Tanshongdi in English? Cousin. Yeah, cousin, yeah. So and one of them, and when they, I think altogether altogether 5, there are 4 princes and 1 Baba then. So then they become a monk. Okay. And okay, take a break first and we'll be back here in 10 minutes. Yeah.